everybody. So as she already said, so we are coming for the publication office of the European Union and represent Cellar, which is a central repository of the European Union. Cellar has a crucial role at EU because it makes data available, make a role in terms of transparency, trust, and to open data to all the citizens. So we will start the presentation to put the context for the publication office, to present to you Cellar, so what Cellar contains, how the data is organized on Cellar, and how you can also reuse Cellar data on your AI application. So my colleague Adele will present to you, will do a short presentation, short demonstration, how to use the APIs of Cellar, and then we'll give you some numbers. So the publication office is an international institutional body of the EU, and it plays a crucial role in terms of transparency, trust, and open access. So the core mission of the OP is to make EU works and notes publicly available and accessible for everybody. So it makes a role in terms of to unlock the power of data, to ensuring that the data is accessible, is interoperable, and is reusable by everybody, so for citizens, developers, and also lovers. The OP is supporting innovation and also economic activities in order to making a structure on the data, to have data which is also machine-readable and also multilingual, which is very important in EU to have the data available in all languages. So finally, is to have a well-informed EU for the citizen, for the developers. Here you can see that the OP is covering a huge range of EU collection. You can see that the main collection is the text legislative, so which is represented on the website, on the EU portal, which is known, which is called EURLEX. But you have also other collection as the tenders, the search publication. You have also some EU, the Who is Who collection, which is which present to you all the different agencies in EU and bodies, and you have also kind of EU vocabularies, which help us to represent, to structure the data at OP. And on top of that, so you have Cellar. Cellar plays a very important role at the OP because it's stored and it publishes the data of the OP. So you have the different portals, which is EU law, for example, the open data, you have everything. But without Cellar, nothing is possible because all these portals are querying Cellar with known APIs that we will present to you later. And thanks to this API, it can publish the data on the portal. So it's in real time. So it's used by these different portals. So which is very, very crucial in terms of transparency and in terms of accessibility. So we can see here that finally it's not only the portals that can query Cellar in real time, but you have also external users. So all citizens and at the EU, all people on the world can retrieve data on Cellar via the different APIs. And you can also use scripts, bots, you can access to the different interfaces of Cellar. So we have three main interfaces. We have Virtuoso, which is a SPARQL endpoint, so containing a knowledge graph, which is I will present to you later. So it contains the metadata of the publication, because on the publication, we also describe the publication thanks to metadata that I will present to you. We have also REST API to retrieve the content, the digital content of a publication. So for example, English PDF of a given publication. And then you have also the metadata itself. So it can be retrieved for a given publication. So for Virtuoso, for the SPARQL endpoint, is to search some data, for example, search about a given law. So to search about case law, you want to search a case law for a given year, you can retrieve it from Virtuoso. For the REST API, if you know a specific publication, you can retrieve all the metadata, for example, the author, the date of publications. And then the last one is the RSS feed. So you can have information on what was ingested on the Cellar system at which moment. And from that, you can see that on Cellar, so we have in terms of storage, we have a knowledge graph, which consists to the metadata. You have the content file, which are, for example, the PDF, XHTML of the publication. And you have the technical data. It can be administrative data, size about the publication, so all this stuff. So as I already said, the Cellar is really central in terms of Adobe because it's the main service. Without Cellar, nothing can be published and can be disseminated to the users. So it is using Semantic standard as Abdelfettah presented to you. It's machine-readable. It's open to all citizens and can be reused on your application by everyone, which is very important. So we have also the digital content. So in comparison to other systems, we have the metadata, but we have also the digital content about all the collection. And in terms of legislative text, we cover everything, which is published on EU. It's also multilingual, which is very, very important. So we have all the content in all the languages at the EU. It's in terms of trust. For the general publication, sometimes it's only in English, but for all the legislative text, it's on all languages. So why Cellar exists? So at the beginning, it was for the storage and to disseminate, so to provide access to content and metadata to everyone. So in one place, because as I already said, at OP you have the different portals, but on Cellar you can access to all the data in one place. You have the link between the publication, which is very important in terms of link open data. So Abdel will show you that. And so it's the reason why it's very important, and it's following all the standard web semantic standard. So it provides rich exploitable links between the publication. So you can retrieve, for example, you can search on Virtuoso for a given year, for example, all the publication. You can retrieve for a given text which one was consolidated by each one. So you can have this kind of information. And we are also using some vocabularies which control that. So our data is structured thanks to some ontology, authority tables, which are also standardized. So we are disseminating the metadata as open data. And the last point, okay, we will not stay long for that, but we also feed our automatically the long-term archive. So for all the version of the publication, it is archived. So just in terms of content, so I just come back, I already said that. So we have in one side the content, which is a digital content. So PDF, you have it in different file format, PDF, XHTML, HTML, sometimes you can have some pictures, so it's really depending on the publication, and you have for all the languages. And on the other side, on the left, you have all the metadata about the publication. So it can be about the publication itself, the title, the abstract, the date. Abdel will show you exactly how it is structured. And then you have also some link between the publication. So you can see on the other picture on the top, you can see the link between the different publications. So it can be consolidation in terms of legislative text. Can be just some citations, so it's really depending, but you can link everything. So by default, our data is linked. So it's a reason why it can be very useful, very useful for you. For the structure of the data, so you have in one side the structure and the format, and on the other side, everything linked to semantic. So on the left, it's what we already said. So there is the metadata about the publication, and then the digital content. And on the right side, you have the data definition layer. So first, we have the common vocabulary, which is also stored, of course, in Virtuoso. It's our ontology, which is called common data model. Okay, it's the definition of classes, of properties that we are using. So for example, consolidated by. So you have all the documentation on our website. And we also store the authority table, so it's kind of standardization, is some code, is some description. For example, for country, you have the concept of Italy, for example. You have really thousands of tables we can describe our data. So it's also discuss ontology with ref label and label. So we can also link to multilingual data, and we have also some other theories on Cellar. So now Abdel will present to you so why our data is fair and how it can be used.
Thank you very much, Emmanuelle. So you heard a lot of words talking about knowledge graph, ontology, vocabularies, and anybody who has been looking into this field of how knowledge graph is used currently with LLMs, how RAG using graphs, knowledge graphs is could be really useful. This is something we are interested in currently, and we were working on some pilot projects. But again, I want to get back to what Emmanuelle was saying. Why we are using these semantic web technologies and linked data, and what is linked data actually for people who maybe have heard about this word. It uses some kind of formalization of knowledge using ontologies, which are a formal way of representing knowledge about a specific field. But we can speak about the data in a very simple way, as it was described by the person who proposed this, was Tim Berners-Lee, was the creator of the web actually. It's the same person that proposed this, like using the same principles that we have for the web of the documents in order to describe the data. And it's four basic simple principles. The first one is using URIs to identify and provide access to things. So rather than having the way of identifying things inside closed DBs as we do usually, what he's proposing is to use open identifiers, and for that using the scheme of URI, which is an HTTP standard, the HTTP standard basically for identifying things. The good thing is that when you look up URI, you can have the description behind. So if you're identifying a specific person or a specific publication or whatever, you put on a browser, it should give you a description of that resource. And the description should not be only understandable by humans, but it should be thanks to a content negotiation mechanism that the HTTP standard provides, is that it should be readable by human, but if a machine is asking for the code, it should be also structured in a way that could be processed easily. And this is like opening a lot of opportunities. We see it with clients, with some reusers, but accessing the data in batch using this mechanism. The third point is about having it structured in a standard way. So not only having structured data, but using the W3C standards like RDF, what we call RDF, and also mechanisms for exchange, for accessing directly like SPARQL, which is like a querying language for this RDF data. It's equivalent for SQL for relational data. So those are standards, and since they are standards, they increase the level of interoperability that systems or users can have with the content. The most important thing, since it's on the web, it opens it breaks down the silos. As you see, you're not having your data in one place. It could be multiple places where the data could be linked between each other, because in the description of the data, you can have links to resources that are not necessarily in your located in the same place, but maybe in other data sources. So this approach has been adopted in OP more than a decade ago, and this one has been now far. And the goal is, of course, to achieve this, what we call the FAIR principles. It's something that is really common in the data community. You can see maybe with data alliance, the data consortiums. It is over the web. It's about the findability, the accessibility, interoperability, and reusability of the data. Findability, it's assured with this thanks to portals, because it's easy to have catalogs on data and search engines on data when you have data structured like this. Accessibility by default, because it's over the web. HTTP protocol. Interoperable, because it uses standards for structuring and also for accessing. And reusable, for us, it's very important because the data is open. So it's with an open license and could be reused by everybody. Again, Emmanuelle was speaking about having resources in multiple linguistic versions in multiple formats. There is actually an ontology standards in the bibliographic resource field, which is called FRBR, or Functional Requirements for Bibliographic Resources. I think this is the acronym. But the idea is about structuring the data in a way it could be accessible in multiple or understandable in multiple ways. So you have what we call the web hierarchy: word, expression, manifestation, and the item. The word being the intellectual work, like let's talk about an act in an official journal. The expression is the linguistic version of that. It can hold a lot of metadata about like the title and a specific language. The manifestation being the technical format. If you want a PDF or HTML, plain text, whatever we can publish. And the item is the actual identifier of the digital object that could be accessible. So based on that, we can imagine. So this is the example as I was explaining. We have like an OG, its linguistic version, its HTML version, and the actual doc that could be downloaded or accessed. There is also the fact that we are using URIs, HTTP URIs. We can have multiple identifiers for the same object, which means we can have relationships of equivalence between those identifiers based on what system is consuming, and those identifiers could come from different production systems. So what we can retrieve and how we can retrieve mostly, again, not to repeat, we have the digital content. The RDF description, which is the standard one using our common ontology, is standardized one. We have an XML proprietary format, and then we have the access to the global node graph, where we can query the whole node graph, which means it's not information about one resource, but about everything and how they are linked. So it could be easy. Again, we're talking about APIs, it should be really easy. Here we are showing just with this is called Postman. So it's just to show we can call on HTTP the right and retrieve directly the content when I give the level of the item, which is the digital item. I can retrieve it directly, or I can use what we call the content negotiation, which means with the HTTP standard, like this example, I can ask for a specific format in a specific language, and those are put in the header of the HTTP call, and then it retrieves exactly what I want. The same thing can happen for the metadata. Different formats of the metadata, we can ask using content negotiation, maybe ask for specific work. I can say gives me XML the format of the metadata and provide that, or the RDF if you want something more standard. So the idea is always to negotiate with the server with those accept header parameters to do so. Or we can use what I was speaking about, the SPARQL language, which is they can express patterns in the graph in order to say what I need to extract exactly for graph. It's not about description of one resource. The difference between this and what I was explaining before, the metadata is what I've seen before is the metadata of one resource, so it's uniquely that's node graph querying for anybody who's knowledgeable about how we query graphs like SPARQL, so with Cypher, it's a little bit like the same principles, but graph pattern that we include in the query, and with that we can we can retrieve content. And the same way, we have the API, and we include in the parameters of the query some information, and can provide the query and what type of format we want in the output we send, and provides. I think that's yeah. Again, that's explained what I was saying. Unitary with the API, with which was its global access. And just to give you this last slide, an order of magnitude of what we have as data in Cellar. We have currently more than 48 million files, and it's growing every day, of course. It's and for the knowledge graph, we have more than 1.6 billion pieces of data, or in the piece of data is a triple, which is linked between two objects, or like subject, predicate, object. This is the basic element that we can have in a graph. We have more than, so it's a huge graph, what we can find in the web. And it's really very much used every day. We have more than 29 million hits this year. It's growing every year. You see the reuse of our repository is that really every day. I think with this, I think those.
Thank you so much. At this stage, I would open the floor to any of the questions that the audience might have. So if anyone wants to ask anything. Okay, then I will have just one question for you. How much time did it take you to construct the knowledge graphs out of the European Union legislation?
It was built in 2014, but so okay, it's growing more and more each year. But yeah, it was starting 2014. Colleagues created the CDM, so the ontology. And at the beginning, it was only for legislative text, and then now we have the general publication, tender, and then later we should have also research publication. So let's say that each year is growing, but yeah, it was started at this time.
So it started in 2023 and it's ongoing since then.
But yeah, it started 2014. Okay. Yeah.
And just also to add, it's the fact that starting in 2014, it's also data before 2014. There was like a backlog work that has been done to ingest all the data before that, and then now it's being fed every day with daily data.
Okay.
The official journal, for example, it's published almost every day, and it's every day ingested and directly being accessible through the maybe that's something, but maybe it could be useful for the LLMs and for the LLM specifically. As I said again, the fact that we have text together with metadata, principles like accessing directly to the data in batch mode, you can query the graph, get all the resources that you need, and then through the API get the content in through bots. We advise you not to do this in a heavy way if you want to do, not to kill the system, but it's quite robust. So I think if you need any help with that, you can contact us. We can help you to show you the best way to use. The other thing is the fact that you have access to the node graph exactly by the metadata. This opens the door to multiple applications that we are personally starting to get interest in, as I explained to you before. But yeah, we can share with you anything.
Sorry, if I can add something more. Yes, it's very specific to Cellar, because for one publication, one resource, we have several representation of in terms of language, in terms of format, but also you can disseminate inferred RDF, non-inferred XML. So we have really various ways of representing a given resource, which is a really good advantage. So. And just one last thing, so just after the presentation, because I think you will share the presentation, it was not included because it would be too long, but okay, there is the annex, and you can find just some description of all EU collection in case you need.
It's in the presentation.
Just at the end, yes, just at the end.